the world. But Honeygan dominated from the outset. Thoroughly beaten on all counts, a cut forced Curry to retire after the 6th round. But Honeygan felt even this great performance was not his ultimate effort.
I wasn't even warmed up. I was just getting warmed up and the fight was over. But if I was to fight him there, I would totally destroy him.
Destruction was clearly on his mind in February when he defended the IBF portion of his title against Johnny Bumpus. A knockdown in the first, followed by this one in the second, brought a quick ending. Today, the undefeated Honeygan defends his welterweight crown when he takes on #1 ranked Maurice Blocker of Washington, D.C. And he has a message.
My name is Lloyd Honeygan, and tonight I aim to keep my title by beating Maurice Blocker by point or by knockout. And don't blink.
Blocker is also undefeated, and the tall, stylish boxer-puncher has a message of his own.
My name is Maurice Blocker, and the British Empire will fall tonight. Look out, Honeygan. Meet you in the ring.
Thus today, live from London, two men who've never tasted defeat. Champion Lloyd Honeygan of England defends his welterweight crown against American Maurice Blocker on ABC's Wide World of Sport.
2 weeks
Wide
from the
World
dirt.
marked the first time a title bout had been carried live from Europe. And now, standing by live in London, the man who will call today's WBC-IBF World Welterweight Championship, Al Michaels. Al?
Becky, I think we have a very intriguing matchup today. We're going to look at Lloyd Honeygan, 29-0, unbeaten, born in Jamaica, grew up in England, and he defeated Donald Curry in a stunning upset in Atlantic City last September, has successfully defended his title once, that being his second-round TKO over Johnny Bumpus. But he has his doubters. There are those who felt Curry was dead at the weight. There are those who felt that Bumpus was already shot. So Honeygan is still a man on a mission with much to prove as he tries to go 30-0. And the man he will be facing today is a real mystery man. Maurice Blocker. He's out of Washington, D.C. He's been a pro since 1982. He is unbeaten at 24-0 with 13 knockouts, but this division is pretty thin, and so he has yet to meet a world-class fighter. But as you look at Maurice Blocker live, he looks cool and confident as we get set for this 12-rounder coming up very shortly from London. Back to you, Becky.
Thank you very much, Al Michaels. When it comes to selecting our wide...
Honeygan defends his title against top-rated contender Maurice Blocker after this commercial and a word from our local stations.
I saw this demonstration on TV, but I didn't believe it until I tried it myself. On this side, I feel a tingling sensation with Denerex. Here with Selsun Blue, nothing. The tingle tells me that Denerex is doing more.
Both Denerex and regular Selsun Blue have dandruff medicine, but Denerex adds an extra anti-itch medicine many dermatologists recommend.
Feels really good. Refreshing. So long, Selsun Blue. Hello, Denerex.
Get an extra relief medicine. Get Denerex shampoo or shampoo and conditioner. A new dimension in news is about to begin. The Jennings-Koppel Report, Thursday.
Can you think of anything more important than finding out what's on sale at Allie's Boot Center right now? I didn't think so.
Right now, you'll find full vamp styles of Wrangler elephant boots under $100. Brand new styles of Wrangler cowboy cut colored jeans, and the most popular style of rugged Red Wing work boots.
Glad you decided to hang around.
Our family had been with another bank for over 60 years before we switched to Texas Commerce.
We worked out a $2 million line of credit for them.
The reason they're good bankers is they know us and they know our business. I feel comfortable with Texas Commerce. You know, that's what's missing with a lot of banking relationships.
You see, it does make a difference where you bank.
Texas Commerce and its bankers working for your success. King of Kings, Saturday at 10:30 on 24.
We are live at the Royal Albert Hall in London. This building is over a century old. It's been the scene of numerous plays and concerts and recitals, thousands of them, in fact. And tonight we have drama of a different sort. I'm Al Michaels, and welcome to the WBC-IBF Welterweight Championship of the World, featuring two undefeated fighters. Lloyd Honeygan, now beginning to be thought of by many as one of the best in the world, pound for pound, a man who shocked Donald Curry, stopping Curry after the 6th round in their meeting in Atlantic City last September, and a man who successfully defended his title here in London on February the 22nd with a second-round knockout over Johnny Bumpus, taking on Maurice, the Thin Man, Blocker, who is also undefeated. Blocker ranked number 1 by the WBC and number 3 by the IBF. He's also the number 1 contender at the moment for the WBA crown, which is currently held by Mark Breland. The division, as I mentioned before, is somewhat thin, thus Blocker has not met a world-class opponent, and you begin to wonder, how good is Maurice Blocker? We will certainly find out tonight. Some interesting contrasts now in the tail of the tape. Honeygan coming right in at the limit, 147, Blocker a quarter-pound under. But look at the height differential. 2.5 inches in Blocker's favor, and reach a substantial advantage, 6.5 inches. Blocker with a good jab, a good straight right hand. Honeygan doesn't particularly excel in any one facet. He's just a very, very good overall fighter. Good speed, good defense, puts combinations together well, and is 29-0 coming in. Here we go, scheduled for 12. Scoring on the 10-point must system. The 3 judges at ringside doing the scoring. The non-scoring referee is Franz Marti of Switzerland. The judges are from Italy, Luxembourg, and Belgium. Blocker using that left jab. And that's the weapon that'll have to be effective with to be able to set up any chance of winning this fight, and any chance of winning this fight for Blocker, in the estimation of almost everyone you talk to, would be either a late round stoppage or a decision. Honeygan, on the other hand, could win it early if he's able to get inside and get through. He's that explosive. Honeygan, born in Jamaica, moved to England when he was 10. And obviously the crowd favorite, though he's not as popular as other British boxers. Some consider him a little too arrogant, a little too brash. And I suppose his trunks, the sequined blue trunks, very much an extension of his personality. Blocker, more reserved and resolute in the plain red. Honeygan with a right hand following the left. Honeygan trying to back him up. Blocker trying to keep him from getting inside. Maurice now starts to work underneath. Sticking that left jab, keeping that left jab, or trying to anyway, in the face of Honeygan, and following with the right, but not connecting. Honeygan, with a combination, Blocker able to ward it off. And trying to work underneath. Blocker, 2.5 inches, the taller of the two. And again, that substantial reach advantage. Honeygan missing with the right, but getting in with the left hand. In the waning moments of this first round at the Royal Albert Hall in London, and about scheduled for 12.
Time for an oil change.
All the best of times, America's best loved imported wine reuniting. When friends get together, you'll always find the best of taste, the best of times. From north to south, east to west, America loves reuniting best. America's best loved imported wine reuniting. Reuniting.
Second round action now from London. Lloyd Honeygan in the sequined trunks. Maurice Blocker out of Washington, D.C. in the red trunks. Both fighters distracted. A week ago, it looked as if this fight was in severe jeopardy. Blocker in a contractual dispute with his former manager, Don Elbaum. And Honeygan, a press conference you may have read about it. Honeygan begins to work, trying to get inside Blocker. Honeygan made headlines here and a few in the United States by announcing this would be his last fight. He said that a week and a half ago. He said unless he could get a Sugar Ray Leonard or a Dwayne Thomas and fight for seven-figure purses, he was finished. And then he admitted a couple of days later he was being overly emotional. But he's brash and he's arrogant, and he's normally very, very aggressive. Blocker has been backing straight up, and that is a bad move normally against the puncher. Honeygan doing a little headhunting in the first round. And Blocker at this point unable to take advantage, any real advantage of his height advantage. The differential between the 2.5 inches. Honeygan trying to work inside now. And Blocker able to keep him away. A minute to go in the second round. One thing about Honeygan, he has shown great adaptability in recent fights. He very early on sees exactly what the opponent is attempting to do and then is able to exploit it. Meanwhile, in Blocker's corner, Bob Miles, Freddie Brown yelling, box him, box him. He's a boxer-puncher. And he's throwing more unnecessary punches than they figure he should be at this point in the fight. They want him to box. He's the cry from the corner. And here's Honeygan with a combination, a good combination. Blocker coming back. Honeygan covering up as the second round winds down. As we come to you live from London, Honeygan and Blocker. Al Michaels back with you live from London. The welterweight championship, the WBC and IBF versions at stake. Lloyd Honeygan putting the pressure on here early in the third round. In the second defense of the crown, he wrested from Donald Curry in September. Blocker through the first two rounds, unable to use his height advantage. His corner wants him to box more, not throw as many unnecessary punches, and he doesn't appear to be moving as much as he should. Both men unbeaten. Blocker has never been down in his career. He's never hit the canvas. Honeygan, though unbeaten, has been dropped twice. Honeygan missing with a wild left. And now the two separated by the referee, Franz Marti, who is refereeing his third World Championship fight. Rolando Baravecchio of Italy, Arsenia Klopp of Luxembourg, Robert Logist of Belgium. are the three judges scoring at ringside. Again, the 10-point must system. 3 knockdown rule, by the way, is not in effect. The standing 8 count is not in effect, though the mandatory 8 is. Blocker, you'll notice after that left jab is delivered, he'll bring it back oftentimes very low, and that would make him very ripe for Honeygan's right-hand counter. And basically for that reason, we've given the first 2 rounds, at least on our card, to Honeygan. Honeygan now switching, fighting out of a southpaw stance. Trying to get the left inside. Working the body with the left hand. And now back orthodox. End of the 3rd round.
Look at my watch, it was 9:31, so I called my dad and said, let's have...
In the minors, you must have called it all 1,000 times. Then one day, you got the call. What's this, rookie umpire? You make America working. This bud for you. Here's to you. Beach with age for that clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
Compliments to that gentleman.
This bud for you.
4th round action now from London. Lloyd Honeygan, and we have him winning all 3 rounds thus far. Nothing spectacular, but functioning very smoothly, very workmanlike, and on his way perhaps to wearing down Maurice Blocker in this bout scheduled for 12. Bob Miles exhorting Blocker to step in with that jab, to utilize the reach advantage. Honeygan, the more aggressive, the pursuer thus far, fighting in his home country and trying to make it 30-0. For what it's worth, now saying, come on, to Blocker. I was just ready to say he hasn't launched an all-out attack, and he has in many of his previous fights. On one hand, perhaps showing Blocker some respect. On the other, just a moment ago, you could see him say, come on, let's mix it. Unable to do any effective work really inside. Honeygan bobbing, moving, looking for the opening. And landing a pretty decent right to the side of his head. Honeygan with a good straight right, partially picked off by Blocker. Blocker throwing those solitary jabs, not doubling up at all. Crowd quiet in the final seconds of the 4th round in a fight to this point that belongs to Honeygan.
There are many ways to end the paperwork overload.
Round 5 here in London, nothing spectacular. Honeygan just doing what he has to do. And Maurice Blocker using the jab, but not doubling, as we say, not moving as much as you might have suspected before the fight, and really doing no scoring. Jab followed by a right hand by Honeygan, and then Blocker tries to work on the body, and Franz Marti says, keep your blows up. We'd like to alert our affiliates that at the end of this round, we will pause for a station break, scheduled for 12, as we come to you live from London, where it's about 23 minutes after 10 o'clock on a very spring-like Saturday night before a full house, about 5,000 at Royal Albert Hall. Lloyd Honeygan in the sequined blue trunks, defending his WBC and IBF welterweight titles against Maurice Blocker of Washington, D.C. Honeygan 29-0, Blocker 24-0. Honeygan coming out of the crouch, leading with his head a bit, and that's something he has been prone to do from time to time in prior fights. Honeygan switching back and forth between southpaw and orthodox. Under a minute now to go here in the 5th round. Nothing close to a knockdown thus far, but we have Honeygan winning every round. Honeygan doing all of the scoring. Good right hand by Lloyd. Blocker absorbing punches well, but again, no factor really in the scoring. He has done nothing in an aggressive sense. Honeygan slipping, but maintaining his balance as round 5 winds down. Honeygan much in command and will return to London after this word from your local station. We're live again from the Royal Albert Hall in London. 6th round action. Lloyd Honeygan in the sequin blue trunks against Maurice Blocker. Honeygan with a tremendous upset and an impressive victory over Donald Curry. And then he destroyed Johnny Bumpus, who a lot of people felt was shot at that point anyway. Even though he's ahead and we have him winning every round tonight, he has not been what you would call scintillating. He has not captured the fancy of the crowd, really. He's been more workmanlike than almost anybody would have been led to expect. And even though he's been the aggressor and the more dominant of the two, Blocker, in his corner between rounds, I noted, not breathing very heavily. And so Blocker still with a lot left. So whether he can manifest that or not remains to be seen. Honeygan's performance surprising in the sense that we have come to expect him to come out very aggressively in the early round to unleash a barrage, and he has yet to do that here. He said before the fight that he respected Blocker, and he has proven that to a certain extent. So again, he is dominating this fight. In terms of a prediction the other day, when I asked him to make one, he felt that he was going to take Blocker out in the middle round. So here we are in number 6, scheduled for 12.
Honeygan with a decent combination. And a good left hand off the side of Blocker's chin. Blocker can absorb a punch. And as we mentioned, he has never been to the canvas in 24 fights. Coming upon the halfway mark, if it goes the distance, as we reach the end of the 6th round.
The Honda Accord.
Have him behind, severely behind at this point. Losing every round, in fact, on our card. And he's done nothing to exhibit the kind of punching power that could take Honeygan out. Honeygan coming in with a left hand. Now a combination underneath, followed by a right hand. And the crowd gets with it. Lloyd missing with a wild left, fighting southpaw. Again, he's been switching. And a warning from referee Franz Marti. Again, Honeygan prone to leading with his head from time to time. Blocker still just throwing one punch at a time, not doubling at all. Not doing anything to score. Honeygan putting any and all of the combinations together thus far in the fight. Seventh round, scheduled for 12. About 40 seconds remaining in round 7. So this fight continues along its unspectacular path, dominated by Lloyd Honeygan as we come upon the end of round 7.
Pete Rose just got tough.
'Cause now...
8th round now, and the rounds have been fairly repetitious to this point. Lloyd Honeygan, who fought the entire 7th round, southpaw, has been switching back and forth through the fight. And here in round 8, very much in control of Maurice Blocker, who's been unable to put together any combination of substance and anything that would impress the judges to this point. He has proven to be a somewhat more difficult opponent, I suppose, is what you could say about it for Honeygan, but still, I guess that's damning with faint praise. Honeygan clearly in control. And again, this fight may leave us with that lingering question, just how good is Lloyd Honeygan? He was great against Curry. Bumpus, so that fight was over in a hurry. And what about this one? He's been dominant. On his way to what would appear to be a very easy victory at this point. But how good will still be the question. And of course, looming perhaps down the line would be Mark Breland. Left hand below the belt, and the warning from referee Franz Marty. Honeygan holding the WBC and IBF crowns, and Breland is the WBA title holder, a title relinquished by Honeygan after he'd won all three against Donald Curry. Final minute of round 8. Slight mouse forming under the right eye of Lloyd Honeygan. Final seconds now, round 8. And round 8 turns out to be another rerun. We'll be back to London in a moment. Wants Blocker to be toweled off before resuming round 9. Too much moisture on his face. And so after that brief stoppage, round 9 resumes. Mentioned Mark Breland, and again, when you think about Breland, you're talking about a tall, angular fighter, similar in physical stature to Maurice Blocker, but Breland is a man, if you've seen him fight, who has much more in his arsenal than Blocker appears to possess, at least tonight. So it could be that, as another warning is issued from Marty, that Honeygan would have trouble penetrating the defense to some extent, and then have to deal with the offensive prowess of a Mark Breland. But that's if and when. Blocker, the kind of fighter, and you can see it if you've watched men of his ilk perform in the past, it's very often difficult to look real good against him. Even though Honeygan is dominating the fight, he has not been anything along the lines of remotely spectacular, and he's been more functional than anything. Blocker to this point, and we're in the 9th round, has yet to really get it together to the extent that he has to go out and tries to take the title with a flurry, with some combinations, with whatever it's going to take, because he's a smart enough man to know right now that he has next to no chance on point. Final minute in round 9. A reminder, tomorrow, Mike McCallum will be defending his WBA Junior Middleweight Championship against former welterweight champ Milton McCrory. Mildred Taylor against Primo Ramos in a super lightweight fight. That's tomorrow, 4 Eastern, 3 Central and Pacific here on ABC. Honeygan coming on now here in round 9, and the crowd exhorting him. Under a half minute to go in the 9th round. Honeygan still very much dominant at the end of the 9th round. London, Lloyd Honeygan, born in Jamaica, grew up living in England. And the local favorite here tonight, obviously, very much in command against Maurice, the thin man Blocker out of Washington, D.C., who has come in unbeaten, but who has been thoroughly beaten thus far by Honeygan. If you missed it earlier, the Wood Memorial, one of the last big preps to the Kentucky Derby, won by Gulch. And favorite Capote was 4th. And in other news today, if you've not heard, Mike Schmidt of the Phillies hit home run number 500. And here in London, it continues on for Lloyd Honeygan in a bout that has featured similar rounds, repetitive rounds. And Honeygan very much on his way to a victory. Unless JoJo Guerra shows up. Honeygan wearing down a little bit here in the 10th round. And the pace of the fight, which had been slowing, continues to wind down here in the 10th. Blocker just doesn't have what it's going to take to win it at this point. Lacking that punching power. And obviously very much in need of a knockout as Honeygan delivers a decent combination. Blocker tries to counter. And we're in the final seconds of the 10th round from London. We'll be back.
If you just ask for a light beer,
Give me a light.
you never know what you'll get.
Bud Light.
Nice shot.
Heads up.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the fresh name and taste, ask for Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
Well, unless something unbelievable takes place, Lloyd Honeygan is just a couple of rounds away from retaining quite easily and obviously unanimously his IBF and WBC welterweight titles, as we are on the 11th round, scheduled for 12 here in London. Honeygan again running up against the type of opponent who makes it sometimes difficult for a fighter to look good, and certainly difficult for a fighter like Honeygan, who can look spectacular, to look that way. Blocker with some body blows here. And again now on the verge of running out of gas here in the 11th round. Honeygan pretty tired himself at this point, even though both came into this fight in great shape. Round 11. With a little over a minute to go in this one, in the 11th round. Blocker trying to muster up whatever he has left, but it's not much at this point. And a good left hand from Honeygan. That rocked him.
Honeygan tries to follow, but it's Blocker who does the counter-punching on the inside, and now back comes Lloyd again. As the action finally gets hot here in the 11th round. Honeygan with another left to the side of his head. About 15 seconds to go in the 11th round. So Honeygan providing a little bit of spirited action anyway here in the 11th. And the crowd salutes him to a certain extent. I mentioned before, and it's worth talking at some length about the fact that the Brits love their fighters, but they love them to be, I suppose, in a way, good losers and gracious gentlemen. And Honeygan runs counter to that. He is brash and he is arrogant. And he is a man who has never been married, but is proud to tell you that he has 4 children by 3 different women. And it's not that we're telling you anything out of school. It's just part of his lifestyle. It's gotten a lot of publicity here. Another look at the left hand that made solid contact with Maurice Blocker here in the 11th round. What he is earning and gaining more and more respect. And down the line, he is obviously hopeful, as he said in a press conference a week and a half ago, of the big payday. Maybe Breland next, who knows? And he's hopeful that somewhere down the line is maybe a Sugar Ray Leonard. Twelfth and final round. Blocker with a leaping, lunging right hand. And Blocker trying to muster it up, trying to throw whatever he's got left here in a last gasp attempt, and he'll have a point deducted for his overzealousness for a low blow. So on top of all that, a point taken away from Blocker, who has been, well, you can make a case for him being shut out. He looked pretty good in round 9. There's a possibility that they may have given him that round. And outside of that, forget it. Blocker wants Honeygan to come on now, but it's far too late. And the crowd begins a little mini celebration, at least vocally, as this 12th round begins to wind down. Blocker throwing whatever he's got left. But Honeygan just pouring in on him. And a good combination by Honeygan again. So spirited combinations in the 11th and 12th. But he didn't need them. Honeygan's trunk starting to come down. I suppose it's an opportune time for that, though the fight is almost over. Blocker trying to do whatever damage he can do. Spirited and game is Maurice, who's also absorbing some punishment here, as the 12th round ends with some of the best action of the fight. So a game effort for Blocker, and Honeygan, exhausted as well, goes 12 as it goes the distance. And there'll be little doubt about the outcome of this one.